What are some common behaviors that many parents engage in, often without realizing it, that negatively impact their children in the long run? Not giving them undivided attention when they really need it. I was a grief counselor for kids. To train us, they asked us to recall our personal grief or one of the hardest things we've been through. Then they paired us off and we had to sum it up to describe it to the other person. Halfway through speaking, a loud buzzer goes off and they said, "That's it, switch." It was alarming to be cut off like that while we were describing something so meaningful. They told us that was the average amount of undivided time and attention adults have to give to children these days. Parents, teachers, and caretakers are being pulled in a million directions at once. Plus, the experiences and issues kids currently face are so much different than the adult generations dealt with, it can be hard to relate. That harsh feeling we had of being cut off while describing something we thought of as so important is a very common experience for children. It hurts. Edited to include when they really need it. By including my description of the training exercise, I meant actively listening to them when it's important and they need your presence to help them process. Balance, of course, is key in everything. Seeing the measure of their children as a sum of their achievements rather than whether the kids are happy or well-adjusted. It seems very obviously bad when I put it like that, but it's more subtle and I think many, if not most, parents do this. For example, Q. How is little Johnny doing? A. Great. He is captain of the baseball team and got an A in chemistry. Or he's a bit of a problem, getting CS in school and quit the basketball team. As opposed to A. Great. He seems to be liking school and has some good friends who seem to be good folks. Or I wish I could say he was doing better, he seems more withdrawn and unhappy lately. We're still trying to figure out how we can help. Overly protective parenting. Overly protective parenting can lead to children lacking independence, resilience, and problem-solving skills, as they may not have opportunities to learn from their mistakes or navigate challenges on their own. Overly protective parenting might include not allowing children to take age-appropriate risks or make decisions for themselves, excessively monitoring their activities, sheltering them from all potential dangers, or stepping in to solve all of their problems without giving them a chance to try on their own. Diminishing their fears. Still to this day at 46, if I make the mistake of telling my mother something I'm concerned about, she shuts the conversation down and tells me it's silly to worry about. Let the kid talk about it. Listen to their concern. Sure, maybe help them talk through some tools to overcome, but do not let them think they are silly for being afraid. Comparing them with other kids. Not allowing their children to fail. Not talking catastrophic failure here. But kids need the opportunity to learn to recover from setbacks, and they need to learn awareness that winning or getting it right every time is not feasible. Too many new bodies entering adulthood seemingly oblivious to the realities of the world and incredibly ill-prepared to handle the rapidly incoming challenges they will face. Kids need safe places to develop these skills. When parents shield their kids from all failures or resolve everything for them, they are hurting their child's development. They are hurting their ability to be successful, independent adults. Is in the vicinity of a kid of the opposite gender. Ooh, is she your girlfriend? It's the offhand comments. You don't remember saying them, but your child absolutely will. Parents have a habit of making little comments about their kid, even if they don't know it's about their kid, that will really stick with their child. I still remember so many offhand comments my parents or siblings said that really stuck with me, even if their views changed later in life. Smoking. Constantly complaining about finances and not being able to afford things. It's okay to not be well off, and it's perfectly fine if you can afford certain things, but don't do it in front of your kids. It makes them paranoid and feel like a burden. They become afraid to ask for things they actually need and they start obsessing over money. Rushing and stressing every morning before school. Edit. This is especially true when yelling is involved. Everyone has to rush sometimes, but there's a way to do it without causing stress on a child. The "I sacrificed so much for you" or "you owe me your life" kind of emotional blackmail. It's very harmful and yet surprisingly common. Treating kids differently. And no parent treats every kid 100 the same, but it's important to not engage in a lot of toxic behaviors like, "Just the baby, just let her get her way." This is the reason birth orders have different behaviors. That fulfilling basic needs and being there physically equals parenting. Creating an ED without realizing it. I am very much aware now that I have kids to not say things like "I feel fat" or "I look gross." I don't want them to feel the same way I did growing up. Writing in my diary at 10 years old that I was tipping the scales at 80 pounds, and if only I was 60 pounds like my classmates, then I would be skinny. A lot of my friends have kids that are older, high school age, whereas mine are still little, and I see how their own words and own self-esteem directly relate to their kids. Yelling from the stands at Little League games. This includes yelling for them to do something, notably when you're not the coach, and also yelling at the umpires. I experienced the worst second-hand embarrassment watching a mother cuss out an umpire. Also, just knowing what that mother was telling to her child on the car ride home. Probably something along the lines about how perfect they are and how terrible umpires are, just teaching them the worst possible life lessons. Overparenting can be almost as harmful as underparenting. I think it's gotten a lot better with time, but I feel like some people have a belief that meeting a kid's basic needs is a privilege and the kid has to be grateful for it. The concept of sending a kid to bed without dinner for misbehaving, for example, is fucked up to me. Food is necessary for survival. Framing that as some sort of privilege that has to be earned is just cruel. Same with locking a kid out because they broke curfew again. Don't know how much that happens these days, but it's not unheard of. I mean, really, think about it like this. A person can be convicted of murder and still be given shelter and 3 meals a day. Why then is it somehow okay to deny a child these things for something significantly less serious? Complaining about the other parent can sometimes go wrong. Forcing their children to join clubs or sports they don't want to do. Telling other people about their children's faults or hanging it over their heads. Not believing their children when they say something is wrong. Embarrassing their children in front of other people. Talk down on a child about a certain skill the child is trying to learn. Taking away something the child uses as an emotional escape as a way to punish the child. Indulgence. It's the thing I notice most. Parents not teaching their children that they are not the center of everyone's universe, only yours. Not apologizing when you fuck up as a parent. Kids need to hear it and know we are still human and learning as well. Apologize to your kids so they model the behavior. If I expect my child to apologize for certain things, I need to be reflecting the same respect. Too much drinking and gambling in front of the kids later on the kids will also follows what they sees on their parents. Being overly strict. There are studies that strict parents teach kids to hide their mistakes. Encouraging kids to share or give away their property to other kids.